Robert J. Conley here, coming to you live. 5 key steps upping your game. And by the way, I never know, I never know how much to kill time waiting for others to sign in or just go forward. So I am just going to keep moving forward. Today's topic: 5 keys to upping your game. So I was listening to one of the all-time great golf coaches talk about his philosophy and methodology. And he was saying that he always starts with just observing the player's natural swing, observing their fine motor skills, their gross motor skills, and then building the program from there. Because he knows that he can't just have one firm program for every golfer and just mold them like a soft piece of putty into this set fixed program. And so the road to misery is to believe that any of us is a completely moldable piece of putty. So if you want to reduce your anxiety and avoid depression, then you need to take that same understanding to yourself. And, it's easy to make the general statement, every person is unique. That's an effortless statement. But the hard work is often in finding where our own uniqueness fits into the world of profitable living, of having a successful life, of meeting the needs of others. And so the hard work is to find where our fundamental 4 fit. And remember, our fundamental 4 are our temperament, our natural abilities, our interests, and our values. And so oftentimes, in fact, I think we live in a culture where we don't hone in on that. And oftentimes we treat people as being pretty moldable into anything. And that is not a true statement. So here are 5 tips to keep moving forward in the face of frustration or in the face of failure, whether you're trying to decide on a major, or you've entered into a college major and it's not working, or you're in a job that's not working. It can be truly debilitating to be fired from a job because it causes self-doubt. Now, one of my fundamental philosophies is that you should treat your 20s as a prime time for trial and error. And, there are not plenty of people, there are a few people who on their first try succeed. They succeed massively. And I refer to them half jokingly as the unfortunates, because it's through trial and error that you really build a level of certainty of what you can and can't do. And to be honest, I've met people over the years who had tremendous early success in a wide spectrum of endeavors and then met obstacles later on. And they had a much harder time dealing with them than if they had built these muscles in their 20s. And so I'm talking to people of all ages, but if you happen to be an under 40 person, think in terms of trial and error. Think in terms of finding your fit, finding where your fundamental 4 fit. And so the number one thing to do is to listen to your body, because it feels physically good when you're in alignment with your fundamental 4. It even feels pretty good when you're in alignment with 3 of them. But being in alignment with all 4 is sublime. It's tremendous. And so some personality types are prone to not listen to their bodies, to try to think their way through, or to try to rationalize why something should work. Your body is always keeping the score. So number 1 is listen to your body. Number 2, I'm repeating myself, but I can't repeat this enough. Trial and error. It's the only path. It's the path to certainty. It's not always fun, but if you will treat it as an adventure, and if you will have a certain detachment from results and just observe results and go, okay, that's feedback. I'm learning. This works, this doesn't work. Then you can continue to move forward without going into a level of self-doubt that is destructive and that keeps you from showing up for the game. So the next thing is studying role models. Now, this again is one that sounds very simple, but I'm talking about having a proactive program with intention, daily, studying role models, read biographies, study successful people. For a long time, Tiger Woods was always used an example of greatness, and he kind of tarnished that. But what I submit to you is study role models solely for that one element that fits with you. Now, for the most part, I would also suggest that the only reason to study role model or to study highly successful people is to see what mental toughness looks like. Because every person who has succeeded in their own fashion. And you can learn from that. You can observe what would work for you, what wouldn't work for you. But the bigger lesson to learn from highly successful people is mental toughness, is fortitude, because fortitude is the single biggest obstacle between your idea or an idea and a payday. It's working through it. It's gritting it out. And so, study successful people and look at all the things that they have overcome. And, most people, you show me a billionaire and I'll show you someone who has had massive failure in areas of their lives. A lot of times it's personal because becoming a billionaire was the number one thing. But, I don't want to overgeneralize, but at any rate, massively successful people also have overcome massive hurdles. And so study role models for that reason. And then number 4 is study your own failures. And the important component of studying your own failures, again, it's about doing it with intention. It's not about ruminating. It's not about self-doubting. It's about dissecting. It's about doing autopsies on your failures. Why did this not work? But I shouldn't say the more critical, but an equally critical component of that is the frame of mind that I'm going to study this, but I'm not going to allow this to own me. I'm not going to allow this failure to define me. It is it is an event in my life. It is part of the trial and error of life. And I'm going to learn from both what went right and went wrong, and I'm going to keep moving forward. And again, the first lens through which to look at this is the fundamental 4. What part of my temperament or my interests, my values, or my aptitudes, what part wasn't working, and to then be more aware of that on the next adventure. So again, it's about going through this with an intention and a systematic review of results without allowing them to define you. And then I think, so then another component of that is like when I work with people who have been fired or laid off or jobs just not working, again, there is a level of self-doubt that comes in. And I'll go back to my number 1 point. When you've had these failures, you will feel physically bad. And so again, it's getting back in touch with what your body is feeding back to you. And one of my joys as a coach when I work with someone who's coming from a real place of adversity, is when the light bulb goes off and it's like, oh wow, yeah, I'm okay. I'm not defective. Those circumstances weren't right for me, or I wasn't playing to my strengths, but I'm not defective. And they suit up and get back in the game. And that just sharing a little insight, that's a very gratifying moment for someone in my business. All right. So the last one is wake up every day committed to bringing your advantages to others. And so when we use the word advantage, a lot of time the word that gets applied is taking advantage of others. And that's not why we're on this planet. We're on this planet to understand first our advantages, what it is that we can do better than others, and then to bring them to the service of others. And so starting from that perspective of who you are fundamentally and moving forward. If you're a stern person, bring that sternness to the right job. Be a drill instructor, be a building inspector, be something that requires a hard ass. If you're naturally funny, bring that to the table and elevate moods. If you are calm, bring yourself to chaotic situations, and just keep moving forward and keep bringing those advantages to the service of others. Your advantages are for the service of others. They're not there for you to take advantage of others. I'm Robert J. Conley. I hope this helped, and I hope you go forward and take your advantages to others. Have a good day.